Okay, so Nick, we had a 2-for-1 yesterday, Clash in the Dunes, and then we were able to regroup and have the UFC card, UFC Washington.
Oh yeah.
After that, let's get right into that main event. Tell me about the 5-round war between Rozenstruik and Alistair Overeem.
Well, yeah, that was the main event to cap off a great night of fights. It was the Fight Like Hell night, which I thought was really cool. It was basically to just pay homage to all the fighters and people and really humans that have anything to do with martial arts that have fought cancer or had family members that fought with cancer. They talked about Stuart Scott, the former ESPN employee that lost his life to cancer, and it was a really, really nice night of fights. They had a bunch of fighters and their family members who either were battling cancer or fighters who had lost family members to cancer out there in the crowd, and it was really nice. They interviewed them all. But yeah, the main event was incredible. Fireworks all the way through, and the crazy thing about it was Alistair Overeem. Okay, so 45 wins, 17 losses, probably one of the deepest records in all of MMA. I mean, you don't just have 50 plus fights in MMA. It's almost unheard of.
Seriously.
Yeah, compared to boxing, you know. And Rozenstruik, I think I'm saying that right. Who is new to us UFC, us MMA fans, because he's only 9-0, 3-0 in the UFC before last night. But apparently his kickboxing record was at 76-6. So he's definitely a grizzled vet, and even at the age of 31, which is young for the heavyweight division. It was such a good fight. I mean, Alistair Overeem on the judges' scorecards had won all 4 of the first rounds, and in my eyes, he was winning the 5th round up until the last 4 seconds. And I don't know if you saw it. If you didn't see it, you probably need to go back and watch. But 4 seconds remaining into the fight, or 4 seconds remaining left in the fight, Jairzinho Rozenstruik lands a power combination, a hook followed by a straight that split Overeem's lip worse than Robbie Lawler's back in the day. You remember the iconic Robbie Lawler. It was the horrific.
Lawler lip,
yeah, the Lawler lip. Yeah, now they have to rename it the Alistair lip. He split him wide open and sat him right down, walk-off knockout, and it was just a crazy way to end the night and end the fight.
Yeah, you know, one thing when you mentioned walk-off knockout, rather, what struck me when I watched that back, because I was at Third Coast Grappling, as you know, last night watching King Gordon. Shout out to Gordon. Awesome rule set. We'll get into that later. But heck of a win there.
Oh, yeah.
So when you talk about walk-off, you know, I think we have to kind of give credit to Rozenstruik for awareness of time and how much time was left in the fight. Because, yes, when you watch it back in slow motion, you see Alistair just drop lifeless.
Mm-hmm.
But with 4 seconds left in the fight, if Rozenstruik had gotten trigger happy and jumped on Alistair and just kept hitting him, there's a good chance that 4 seconds could have run out, depending on how fast and loose Mergliata was playing the stoppage there.
Right.
So I think the fact, and I don't know that he was aware, but I'm going to give him credit and go ahead and say that he was, to hit that shot, land it flush, and then walk back. Then that 4 seconds becomes a much longer period of time where you see Alistair sitting there against the cage, lifeless, which is what got that stoppage literally in the 11th hour and ultimately won him the fight. So good awareness of time and space in the octagon there by Rozenstruik. And he's a tough one, man. That Ngannou call out, I like it because everybody's always got the title on the tip of their tongue when they get a big win like that against a vet like Overeem, but we know that the DC Stipe match is probably going to happen next, the trilogy. So why not call out a guy that fights very similarly to you, that you think that you can beat, that will springboard you to the next level, and you know all the fans are going to get behind it right away. So I thought it was a great call out.
Yeah, Ngannou's arguably one of the biggest stars in the UFC, especially in the heavyweight division, and he's sort of like the gatekeeper for number one contender spot. You know, if you beat Ngannou, chances are you're next in line for a title. That's just how it goes, and I'm sure he'll get another title shot soon. But For now, if you're able to beat him, you usually jump the line, and I think that's what Rozenstruik's trying to do. I mean, he's only 4-0 in the UFC after last night, 10-0 in his career, but it's all exciting knockouts, which is what the people want to see. And he's just he's a vet that doesn't have the record of what most people would assume a vet would have.
The MMA record.
MMA, yeah, as far as MMA goes. I was super impressed with his performance. Alistair looked sharp. He looked so good through 4 rounds and 4 minutes and 56 seconds of the 5th round. But that's the reason we like combat sports so much. That's the reason the UFC is growing the way it is. It's because, if for instance the Patriots are playing the who's the team, the Falcons, and it's 28-0 at halftime. I can't think of who's good right now, but it's 28-0.
That actually happened in the Super Bowl like a couple of years ago. The Falcons let us down big time.
There you go.
That was actually a perfect example there.
Perfect. Well, that's a perfect example of what usually doesn't happen. If at halftime the score's 28-0, you can pretty much turn the game off and you know how it's going to end 9 times out of 10. Well, if we would have turned the TV off halfway through the Overeem versus Rozenstruik fight, we would have been very surprised with the outcome because, anything can change, and it only takes one shot. It only takes 1 second, especially in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to see will be interesting to see where Alistair goes from here, because I was kind of the thinking, and this is always how it is, Alistair's never more than one good knockout win away from a title shot.
And he was coming off 2 wins.
Yeah, so. I said if he knocks this guy out or wins in decisive fashion, they could very easily put him in there against the winner of, well, I think if DC wins, he'll probably call it, but, and vacate the title, in which case Alistair would probably be in there against somebody.
Right.
You'd fill in the blank. But he's never more than one, big win away from a title shot. So kudos to Rozenstruik. That was an awesome win, and I'm excited to see what he does. And I love that he's not shying away from the firepower of Ngannou.
Yeah, he's on the map, that's for sure. And now I think we're going to have a clash of the 2 monsters in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.